This is a Film Stories original podcast.
Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day Faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hello everybody and welcome to Writers on Film Cannes edition. My name is John Bleasdale. I'm a writer and film critic. If you haven't worked that out yet, I don't know what you're doing listening to this podcast. I am joined by David Moroquand of Euronews, who has been a regular on these Cannes reports. And I'm here to he's come in to sort of talk about the rest of the fest to begin with, the things which aren't in competition but are in the various sidebars that we've been watching. Thanks for coming in, David.
Thank you for having me again, John. Really appreciate it.
So what titles have you seen outside the main competition?
I mean, I have to admit, I've been limited to mostly competition, but there have been quite a few out-of-competition films that I've appreciated. One of them is Rumours, by the Canadian directors Guy Maddin, Evan and Galen Johnson. And I had a really, really good time with this. It's this political satire which, turns a little bit madcap. And the film title's inspired by the Fleetwood Mac album, Rumours, which, basically because of all the kind of behind-the-scenes hullabaloo that happened during the recording of that. And that is very much mirrored in the madness of what goes on. So it follows the G7 leaders who happen to meet in Germany around a gazebo and who have to come up with this draft proposal for a situation that is repeated, but we never find out quite what it is. And we see these bumbling assholes basically trying to using these meaningless buzzwords and corporate speak and just the yoga babble essentially to sort out all these pressing world issues. And I thought as a satire it worked. It was I think it would have worked a lot better had it been a short film, or because I think it runs over 2 hours or nearly 2 hours. And I think it does outstay its welcome just a little bit before picking up at the end, because there were moments where it really does go a little bit surreal. Without spoiling anything, there are certain things that happens in the woods. So basically, while they're around this gazebo, a sort of apocalypse happens, essentially, which tips its hat to George Romero, and it's all very surreal, and the performances are great. But again, just for me, this was a kind of 80-minute film that is stretched a little bit too long. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I was okay with the length actually. Okay. But I in a way a 90-minute comedy is the perfect length. I think it could have been shaved down But yeah, I thought this was a real rewarding film, and one I'd like to see getting a good festival run and maybe a limited release somewhere. It should be. Just to give everybody the context of where we're talking, we're at an Irish pub called Mar Nolan's, which is a stone's way. We can see the Palais from our seats, and it's right on a road, so that's why you can hear some very expensive cars roaring by. So, any other films from outside the competition that you want to mention?
There's one called Les Filles au Balcon, the Balconettes. Now, this is...
coffee, a dessert or something?
I'd have a cappuccino, please.
Cappuccino, yes.
I'm still good with my pint. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's this film which is in midnight screenings called Les Filles au Balcon, the Balconettes, and it's the second film by French actress Naomi Merlan, who everyone kind of remembers from Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And it's a very flawed film, but the more I think about it, the more I'm more tolerant of its kind of flaws. And it's essentially this...
sorry, she directs as well as stars in?
Absolutely, she directs, writes, and stars in. And she also, Céline Sciamma has a co-writing credit on this one. So I was very, very interested to see it. And yeah, it essentially follows three friends on the hottest day in Marseille, and they start flirting with somebody across the street on their balcony. And what starts off as this very kind of sweaty, very, very chaotic day, and I think she captures that very well, like the atmosphere of living together, because one is an actress who is trying to flee her husband, one is a cam girl, so very, very sexy, and there's a lot of nudity in this one, and I know we'll probably get onto that in a minute as one of the main themes of this year's festival. And the other one is an aspiring writer who's kind of the nerdy one of the bunch. So I mean, you've got the archetypes down, it's nothing surprising there. But what happens is that they end up partying with this very hunky guy, and it transforms itself into a very gory, very again chaotic kind of Me Too parable, which becomes a little bit overly didactic by the end of it. But I respect its verve. It's got a punkish feel, and for what she sets out to do with it, I just thought, okay, you've achieved everything you wanted with that. There was nothing that it could have been better. It could have been a hell of a lot tighter. There's especially one plot strand which serves the themes of the film, which are all about the mild spoiler at this point, the ghosts of past rapists and people who have avoided any kind of sexual consent, coming back to haunt some of the girls. And it's a bit of a hot mess, but it's a hot mess I enjoyed. And I have to admit, like with some of the more high-minded stuff that we've seen, it was a little bit of a palate cleanser. And I think while it's nowhere near like one of the most memorable films, it certainly is just a lot of fun. So yeah.
Well, you've sold me, and it seems like the French have cornered the market for this kind of extreme, gory, crossing the lines films. What with Bloody Oranges a few years ago, and now this, and even The Substance in Competition, which we already talked about in an earlier podcast. So let's move on to the sort of takeaways, because we're right at the end. Today we'll hear about the Palm, and I want to hear your predictions later, because this hopefully will go out before the Palm is announced. So first of all, what takeaways have you got? What sort of trends and tendencies have you identified?
It's been a very eclectic festival. Maybe not on par quality-wise with last year, which was very much a banner year. But at the same time, I had a really, really great time. The films are long. Maybe not necessarily the longest that we've seen in competition with regards to run times, but they feel like, essentially my main takeaway is that editors are valuable. And
right.
There are a lot of films where, as much as I like them or dislike them, a key takeaway is that could have been tighter and that could have been better with 15 to 20 minutes shaved off. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I wanted to also mention that I was writing down all the films that I've seen and sort of scoring them just to get an idea of where I stand on a lot of things. And I noticed that even though I had been sort of very down on the festival, especially at the beginning, it's kind of not many of the films were like 2-star films. It was just a lot of 3-star films. So it's not like there are terrible films. I mean, films like Oh Canada, for instance, I know a lot of people hate it, but I think it's a fairly okay film for Paul Schrader, for instance. And, you know, films that we might not have spoken about on the podcast, like Wild Diamond, which was the first film in competition, I thought was perfectly fine. Andrea Arnold's Bird, perfectly fine. So it's funny that it's just like we've not had that many, or if any, Anatomies of a Fall or Zones of Interest. And that's not, as you say, it's a banner year last year. That's not necessarily going to happen every year. No. As far as what we're saying about length, yes, I think we should have new acronyms like TMTL, 10 minutes too long, or 20 minutes too long, or 30 minutes too long. You don't even have to change the letter. It can stand for all 3 of those things. And that way we save time on our reviews as well, which sometimes are 200 words too long. You talked about length. What else have you noticed?
It's a very sexy festival, John.
Hello.
Yes. There's the return of nudity. It's been a very sexually charged festival, because from everything from the substance to the balconettes, which I mentioned, but
Kinds of Kindness,
absolutely. Motel Destino as well. Quite a lot of steamy sex scenes in that one. It has, just on the whole, just there's been a lot of nudity, and I'm there for it. Not in a because I think there is this kind of, at the moment, this almost knee-jerk reaction of, if there is nudity, of course, Anora, I apologise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But there's this, like I said, this knee-jerk reaction that if there is nudity, it needs to be over-intellectualised, or we need to think about who's behind the camera. And it is important. I'm not saying that's not a discussion that needs to be had. I'm just saying it's a part of life. And it's also a really great part of life. So why not? And yeah, this year has been very sexually charged on the whole. I mean, Anora being, I think, the main one there, and there were some criticisms because it's a male director, and there are a lot of sex scenes. There is a lot of nudity, but I mean, at the same time, it's set in a strip club for a lot of it, and it deals with,
called Headquarters.
Quite, and yeah, it's set in a strip club for a lot of it. It deals with the lead protagonist, who is a sex worker. So what are you going to do? Not show any kind of nudity, or not show the? I don't know. I thought that the scenes that happened in Headquarters were really, really good, and they had this. I don't know, this authentic vibe to it, and something that Sean Baker is known for, having that kind of, very authentic feel, and he is somebody who researches his films a lot, and who certainly kind of casts people who are within those kind of industries, because whether it's Tangerine, for example, or Red Rocket, which also dealt with an aging porn star. I mean,
Starlet.
Yeah, Starlet, of course, yes. So I don't know. I don't see the problem, and if anything, it was energizing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think there are criticisms of the sex industry in Sean's work, and also in Motel Destino, which, the audio of Motel Destino is just constantly the sound of other people having sex behind the walls. And that's one film I sort of came out of thinking I might not want to actually have sex again. This is quite it has a sort of grim aspect to it, or at least there's a sort of J.G. Ballard sense of, sex can be quite monotonous and boring then that's all you have.
Yeah, and with regards to the films, I don't know, I mean, not only are they sexually charged, but as you said about Motel Destino, not a lot of them were necessarily titillating. Like, after that, exactly the same, but with regards to the substance as well, there is a lot of nudity, like aging bodies, which makes perfect sense, but at the same time, like, it wasn't just gratuitous for the sake of it. I thought that a lot of the nudity complemented the film's themes and worked really well.
Brilliant. And a final trend that you have observed? Or perhaps heard?
Observed, I think it's time to bury the Titans.
Right.
Essentially this year, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but I think this year, and there are notable, there are notable exceptions to this rule, but when you have David Cronenberg, George Miller, Coppola, none of these films particularly did it for me. I know I'm in the minority when it comes to Furiosa, but I just think that a lot of the places that were taken by them in competition could have been given to maybe directors who needed the boost, who needed to have that kind of Cannes logo on their poster, in order to because I don't know, like I just think about people, my friends who don't come to these festivals. I think of some family members, my sister, my mum. When they see a little golden bear on the poster, or the little palm, or the fact that it's been in Venice, they automatically assume, okay, well, if it's good enough to be selected, then it's good enough for my money and to go to the cinema, which is fair enough. But I just think, without going back into it, because otherwise I might unwittingly provoke a hemorrhage, like Megalopolis, The Shrouds, even the Jarzinka, I just don't think that these are I mean, they're interesting films in their own way, even if they didn't work for me. But I just think that at this point, these kind of dinosaurs of the film world, they don't need to be pushed aside completely. But if anything that I've learned this year, it's that the really exciting stuff is coming from new voices.
Yeah, it's almost. It does feel like a generational shift this year, and I mean, Paul Schrader's another example of that as well.
Yeah. But Jacques Audiard, I have to say, at 72, has proven, and like I said, there's always some examples that will buck that trend, and Jacques Audiard with Emilia Perez was one of the more surprising ones. I did not expect that from him. And it was joyful, it was vibrant, it was so exuberant and so enlivening, just energizing as a film. So it does show that, again, like as much as I was being a little bit flippant with burying the Titans, I just think that there needs to be more of an accent on well, if we're looking at quotas, for example, and I know Thierry Frémaux in the past has said, and he trots out the same anecdote about Agnès Varda when she was still alive, telling him, I'm not a female filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker, and never include a film in your competition just because it's made by a woman, which is a fair enough argument. But at the same time, regardless of the gender of the filmmaker, I just think that at this point there needs to be just a bit of a renouveau. God damn, I sounded pretentious when I said that. Those moments when you hear yourself and you're like...
David does live in France, so I think knowing French is not pretentious if you live in France and speak it every day.
Right, but at the same time, no, I think that there should be more of an accent, more of an emphasis on, essentially, we need new voices, and I'm glad there were some in competition this year, but the George Miller, I mean, that was out of competition, so fair play, and it was a big starry title, but the Coppola should have been out of competition as well. Yeah. I think the Jarzinka as well, because I don't know what you made of that film, but I found it incredibly patience testing, and I as much as I respect his oeuvre, I can't think of any kind of casual viewer who would go into it, because I think with a film like that you need to have seen his films beforehand in order to have a certain appreciation of what he's doing. So
yeah, I think that's similar to the Miguel Gomez Grand Tour. There's a sense that this is very much for hardcore cinephiles, and general public would probably be quite baffled by this. And that's not to say that it's not got its quality and it's not got its treasures.
Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day Faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
To be found, but it's not going to be hitting the multiplexes anytime soon.
No, and films do need to be challenging regardless of who's behind the camera, and I really like the Grand Tour. I mean, the first hour was punishing. I had a very hard time, but by the second that a certain female character is seen on screen, I was completely won over by it, and I actually think it may have a chance of winning something at the awards ceremony tonight. But on the whole, fresh new voices, please.
Well, let's move on to that. Predictions for the Palm, and the predictions for the general awards. You can give them as you wish in terms of what will win and what should win, perhaps, nice. Or as you prefer.
Well, I mean, I've because I am diligent, and in case my editor is listening to this, I want him to know that I am taking this very, very seriously. I have the list of awards in front of me right
Excellent.
now. In order. So, best screenplay. I think maybe the Indian film All We Imagine As Light might be a good shout. It's definitely something which stood out in competition. Very slight in its own way, but very gentle. And I really appreciated just the mood of it all. So I think that might be in for a shout. What do you think for best screenplay?
I would. I don't know. Best screenplay. It very much depends on how the others fall. But I would think that if it doesn't get a higher prize, maybe the Sean Baker with Anora would be a good call, because I love the way it's structured. I love the way it's written. It feels a really alive piece of work. Okay, let's. What's the next one?
Best actor.
Right.
I think Ben Whishaw for Limonov, The Ballad. I've never seen Ben Whishaw transformed quite in that way. I liked what he was doing vocally. I liked his the cadence of his speech, and while I think the film is not necessarily... I enjoyed it. I think you and I share similar reservations with regards to certain aspects of the historic character on which this film is based on. But I think Ben Whishaw is delivering something that hasn't been seen from him yet. So that would be my pick.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is a very hard category for me to think of. I do think Whishaw is good, although sometimes in retrospect he does fall into that sort of, speaking Russian.
This is true.
This is true, exactly. All you think is shit. I mean, that might. I don't know if that will last in a second viewing, but. Yeah, I'm not. There's no other actor who's really as dominant in the film as that actor.
Do you think? Sorry, I go full Russian now for this next part. Do you think that anyone in The Apprentice may have?
Oh yeah, I actually think Stans. What's his name? Sebastian Stans.
Yes,
I think he could do it. That would be a good call, actually.
Yes, Sebastian Stan or even Jeremy Strong. I think very good, both of them. I think they both...
Okay, stop the accent now.
Sorry, I will stop. Thank you. I really do need to be reined in. No, out of the two performances, I thought Sebastian Stan was very good purely because it could have been so much of a caricature. And I think he nails the speech patterns and the evolving vocabulary that just gradually sets in. So he could be an interesting one, but if he wins, can you imagine? He's already won the Silver Bear this year for his performance in A Different Man. That would mean that straight afterwards in Cannes, he would win another acting award.
Major festival award.
2024 would be just his year, essentially. All he'd need now is just to come to Venice and nab that one. But I don't think if that's ever happened before. A performer who's won Berlin Best Performing Award and Cannes in the same year, it could be in with an outside chance.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I also think The Apprentice might be in for a shout of best screenplay because it is a very scripted, very talky movie as well. You know, that tends to be the thing. Okay. What's the next award?
Best Actress. This one could go a lot of ways, I think. If it doesn't win anything more, because it is worth mentioning that if a film wins any of the higher prizes, they can't double up, basically. Yeah. You can have ex aequo, just two films winning the same prize, for instance, a tie. But somebody who wins, say, Best Actress, then that film is automatically removed from the top gongs. If they don't give anything to Jacques Audiard's Emilia Perez, I could see Carla Sofia Gascon winning that one, and I think that would be the first trans performer in Cannes to ever win the acting award, so that could be interesting. That or remind me the name of the actress in Anora.
Mikey Marshall, I think.
Okay, she's great. She is an absolute powerhouse in that film, and one of the reasons it works so well is because she nails the kind of the accent. She's volatile, she's moving, she's chaotic, she's everything that character needs to be, and I would love for her to win something, because like previously she was seen in a bit of a bit part in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she had a larger role in Scream, but this is a career-defining role, and should she win Best Actress, I think that would be incredibly merited.
Yeah, this is a film that will get her a lot of scripts coming her way, I think, and I agree. I'd kind of want Sean Baker's film to maybe get one of the higher awards, which is. But I would be. This would be a very good consolation for the film, and a totally deserved recognition for her.
Agreed.
So the next one,
Best Director. Now, without trying to appear cynical, it would be great to see another female filmmaker win, and there's no shortage. Well, no, there is a shortage of them in competition. That's the problem, is that there are only 4 films in competition directed by women. Now, I'm not excluding any male filmmakers based on that alone. However, I'd love to see Andrea Arnold win Best Director for Bird. She's won the jury prize, I think, 3 times in a row, and that's great. But it would really be lovely if she could win Best Director.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good call. I'm thinking maybe of The Substance as a possible Best Director shout. The name of Agatha...
Coralie Fargeat.
I don't know why I've thought of Agatha. Anyway, the next.
Prix du Jury, the jury prize, which I think would go to The Substance. I know we discussed it on a previous podcast, but I just think it's incredibly bold as a film. It's deceptively, in many ways, profound. I know you find it more profound than I do, but I think it is definitely one of the most memorable films in competition. And as we discussed, there is a direct parallel that can be made between The Substance and Barbie. And I think with Greta Gerwig as jury president, that may have spoken to her. So I'd love for that to be the case. I'm good. So I'd love for that to be the case. So The Substance for jury prize for me. What about you?
Well, this is going to be. I want the Substance Prize. I would give the Substance Prize. I would give the Substance the Best Director. So I think the two top prizes for me are going to be Anora and The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and it would, in a way, either of those would be fine with me. As long as they're both recognised, that would be fine.
I agree, and because the last two prizes are the Grand Prix and the Palme d'Or.
Right.
And we're not above. It could be said there are some special prizes given sometimes. So it might go to a cast, it might go to a filmmaker that is particularly touched that doesn't kind of fit in very neatly to these categories. I know in the past there have been like recognitions for best cinematography, which is a bit of a shame because I think the cinematography could have been a good shout for, say, The Girl with the Needle. Which unfortunately I think that Magnus von Horn's film will fall by the wayside, and it deserves a hell of a lot more than to be ignored by the awards. But like you, I think if the Palme d'Or or the Grand Prix goes to either The Seed of the Sacred Fig by Mohamed Rasulov or Anora by Sean Baker, I think that would be wonderful. I'd love cinematography, like I said, to go to The Girl with the Needle, or even the Grand Tour by Miguel Gomes. I think those two were very, very impressive in their own ways and also stood out in competition. But I think, unfortunately, that leaves Emilia Perez maybe a little bit, forgotten.
Yeah, unless they get an acting prize, or as you say, unless there's some prize that they maybe music.
Yeah, well, wouldn't that be something? Yeah. Because it is so distinctive. Oh, that is a lot of background noise.
Yeah, that's a big lorry full of rubbish going by on the last day of the festival. So a metaphor, if you like.
Maybe. But yeah, no, and I think it's... One thing I am a little bit concerned by with regards to The Seed of the Sacred Fig is that, and not that this should be a consideration, but because of the story behind the film, the fact that Mohamed Rasulov was sentenced to 8 years in prisons and lashings in Iran, the fact that he fled Iran, and that until 2 weeks ago he was still there, the fact that until a few days ago we didn't know whether he was even going to make it to the festival. It is... I mean, I kept on thinking about it because I know you and I were in the premiere for that film, and there was a 15-minute plus standing ovation, which was...
At the end, a 5-minute ovation at the beginning.
As well, yeah, and it felt important, and I was incredibly moved by that moment, and you know, because it is this act of defiance in the name of rebellion and art in general, and I know that sounds incredibly pompous, but I stand by it.
Woman-like freedom. We heard someone shout it right at the beginning of the screening, and it got a large round of applause. And I think in a Cannes, which has been kind of strangely quiet on the issues of world events in terms of Gaza and Palestine and how, and even Ukraine compared to previous, people forget that war is still ongoing. That film actually did feel like it galvanized, here's something we can all agree on.
No, agreed. My greatest fear is that, again, I'm thinking of people outside of the industry, outside of the profession that we have and that we are lucky to have, because we're all big, underslept and underfed children in this wonderful sandpit. I don't know. I think there will be some people who will kind of automatically go to, because of the background story behind this film, because it's an Iranian film that dares to criticize, and because it is a rebellious film, that it was almost telegraphed that it would win. I think the film on its own merits deserves to win, and I would be very upset if it got one of the so-called consolation prizes, like potentially best screenplay, and that would be fine as long as it doesn't go home empty-handed. But it does feel like not only an important film within the socio-political context of The Seed of the Sacred Fig, but as a film in and of itself, it was incredibly well handled, beautifully acted, and for a 3-hour plus film, just gripping. The suspense throughout was really infectious, and I'd love to see it win big.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it was the perfect combination of a great film with a capital G, a film that was incredibly cine literate, knew what it was doing. It was at the top of its game when it comes to the craft and everything. But I would have no problem recommending this to anybody. It's got car chases, it's got comedy, it's got moments of great it's moving, it's emotionally engaging. And, you know, as for the length, we've been saying, 10 minutes too long, 20 minutes too long. This is a film that, despite being 3 hours, is not 10 minutes too long or 20 minutes too long or 30 minutes too long.
Agreed. Yeah, no, agreed. It's I think its running time is more than merited, and yeah. But that being said, I think that the more crowd-pleasing choice, which is potentially what happened last year with Anatomy of a Fall winning, because Anatomy of a Fall, and I mean, look, it's a fool's errand to guess what the jury might do. Who knows where they will go? But if they do go for the more crowd-pleasing choice, it will be Anora. And if they go for maybe a statement, despite that the film is more than worthy of winning, it will go to The Seed of the Sacred Fig.
There's a thing that I always think jury presidents want to give awards to films that aren't like their own, a little bit. And I think Greta Gerwig has been in American independent cinema for so long, it would feel a little bit too much like she was sort of crowning one of her own. Although that's not to say she knows Sean Baker has never worked with him as far as I know. So I do feel that she might want to sort of prove her cinema sort of
eclecticism.
Yeah,
or just,
exactly.
Yeah.
Or taste or whatever, and go for something slightly different. But as you say, a fool's errand, and I might be totally wrong, and I'm looking forward to finding out whatever. And it'd be great to talk to you at some point, maybe following the awards.
Well, look, I will be in the press room feverishly writing up the review, the article as the news drops and as the ceremony goes on. So yeah, no, I can't wait. But like usual in these kind of ceremonies, there are always going to be surprises, and I'm pretty sure that there is a name that will win something tonight that we haven't even talked about in this conversation. And there's great joy in that as well, because there is something very euphoric about being in the press room, I found, specifically in Cannes, where you have a lot of tired journalists who are writing it up, and all of a sudden you just hear a clapping or a "what the hell were they thinking?"
A gasp.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. I love the surprising nature of it, and I think it would also be quite depressing if we were right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, with all of our predictions. So that's maybe our personal choices and our personal preferences, but it remains to be seen what the jury says. And it was a very interesting jury this year. Like, a lot of actors, a lot of directors, but quite an eclectic bunch there as well. Yeah. So I love the idea of just thinking about these people in the same room, just kind of discussing the films that they've seen, because I can't imagine that Eva Green and who else is on the jury? Correida, thank you. Yes, Eva Green and Correida. Would they have the same film taste? Omar Sy and Greta Gerwig. I don't know. It's
a Mati Diop on the.
No, Mati Diop is not on this year's.
Pier Francesco Favino.
Favino, of course. Yeah, I forget about him.
Lily Gladstone.
Yeah. Lily Gladstone, isn't she great? Could we just do a podcast about her?
Anytime you like.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like that.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks so much, David.
Thank you very much, John.
If there's one thing that my family and friends know me for, it's being an amazing gift giver. I owe it all to Celebrations Passport from 1-800-Flowers.com, my one-stop shopping site that has amazing gifts for every occasion. With Celebrations Passport, I get free shipping on thousands of amazing gifts. And the more gifts I give, the more perks and rewards I earn. To learn more and take your gift giving to the next level, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Cue the fireplace and your favorite fall movie. There's nothing better than a cozy evening at home with a glass of First Leaf wine. First Leaf is a personalized wine club that delivers right to your door. Sounds magical, right? They get to know your favorite tasting notes, which varietals you enjoy, and whether you prefer sweet or dry wines. So in every shipment, you get bottles tailored to your unique palate. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/fall to get your first 6 wines for just $44.95 with free shipping.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.